Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be building an 8-inch pipe bumper rail, I think is what I'm gonna call it, for this parking lot here at the Perkins Cimarron Valley Co-op here in Perkins, Oklahoma. This will be a two-part video. In this first part, we will be fitting up 4 8-inch 90s. We will not be welding this to pipeline standards. In other words, we're not going to be x-raying it, although you will see me put in a bead on one of these welds because I was just excited to be welding on pipe. But for a lot of this project, I did not worry about getting full penetration on the welds. But as you'll learn through watching this first part of this video and the second part, I will be beveling every single joint of this pipe. For one, because none of it had bevels, it was all straight cut. And for two, I wanted to make sure the ends were square. That was the main reason. There's two reasons I wanted to bevel it. One is to make sure the ends were square. That way the fit was good, so I wouldn't have to fill a big gap, for instance, because I wanted this bumper rail to be somewhat straight whenever it was laying on the ground. I didn't want it to have any dog legs in it, you know, as much as possible. So to do that, I wanted to cut every joint to make sure it was a square cut. I didn't want to have to fill any gaps, any unnecessary gaps. I personally have learned over the years that I would rather spend my time fitting something, or like in this case, cutting a straight cut, than I would, you know, running bead after bead trying to fill a ½ inch gap on one side of a piece of pipe. It's more proper in my opinion. And like I said, you either spend the time running a bevel machine, which takes not very long to spin a bevel on it to square the end of this pipe up, or you spend lots more welding rod and lots more time and lots more frustration trying to fill a gap on one side to make sure you don't have a dog leg in your bumper rail. The second reason I beveled the pipe is because of the main reason you bevel pipe, which is to make sure I got some type of penetration, or I should say more penetration than just, you know, butting the two square cuts up against each other. Hypothetically, if they were all square and I butted them up, I'm gonna get more penetration by beveling them, by putting an angle on each piece, than I would just butting them right up. So that's the second reason, is just so it's essentially a stronger weld. So those are the two main reasons why I beveled every single one of these joints of pipe. Also, about midway through this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a fabrication trick. A trick to how to make your pipe fabrication look more professional. So for those of you that are just getting started, this is a very, very good tip and will make you stand out in the pipe fabrication world. So stay tuned for that tip. Lastly, before we get this video started, I wanted to let you know that we are putting our courses on sale. So the pipe fence course, the quick rig course, on sale starting today, April 19th through May 1st. You can take advantage of the sale by using the discount code at checkout, SPRING24, all caps, no spaces. Use that discount code at checkout to save some money on this spring sale that we have going on. For those of you that are wanting to invest in yourself, invest in your business, invest in your skill set, or maybe you just want to build your own pipe fence or your own welding rig to do your own mobile welding around your farm, or whatever that looks like, check out our courses there at AROSSWELDING.school. Use the discount code SPRING24, all caps. Let us know if you have any questions. You can text those questions to 405-643-7176. It may take us a couple days to text you back, but please text us if you have any questions about the sale or anything there on the trade school website. That's AROSSWELDING.school. Alright, so we went and picked up some 1/8 Arc 80 from American Welding Supply there in Cushing, and some 532 7010, also known as hippie rod. You might be wondering why I'm using 1/8 8010 versus just 6010 or 6011. For the record, I've said this several times, but if you're new around here, On something like this, it does not matter what you weld this pipe with. It doesn't matter. You could use 6010, 6011, doesn't matter. You could use 7018 all the way out. I could have chose to do that. I personally, because of my 7 or 8 years of pipeline experience, I essentially fell in love with 8010. It is the, in my opinion, one of the best cellulose welding rods. So once you have all those years of welding with 8010, specifically pipeliner, it's hard to go back to 6010 or 6011 and all that stuff. So that's why I chose to use it. Got all our pipes set up. Fixing to open these box of 90s. By the way, we got these 90-degree fittings from Fechner here in Cushing, Oklahoma. I'll put a bevel on the end of this, fit our 90 up, roll the seam where I want it, and then put a 90 on each one of these. But we need to strategically put the seam on bottom while pointing the 90s in the correct direction, while sharing with you that fabrication tip that I talked about earlier in this video. So stay tuned for that. Some of you have already seen this because I did share this a couple years ago whenever I was welding on some pipe here at the house. But for those of you that may be new and was wondering what I was just using, this is a homemade pipe roller. We welders use this on pipe fabrication. This is just some solid round stock, 3/4 inch tacked on here. You could use a pipe wrench on a project like we're doing in this video because it's not that big a deal for it to have little teeth marks in it, but on pipeline fabrication work, it's a big no-no to have teeth marks in your pipe. So us welders build these things that way it's smooth and it doesn't mess with the integrity of the pipe. So that's what this is, just a homemade pipe roller. I made sure and put my top right here intentionally because this 90 is gonna go into the ground. So this is how it's gonna sit in real life. So old fabrication thing I learned, I guess you could say. Just that way your weld is uniform, you know, it looks nice. This will be setting, this right here will pretty much be setting on the ground. And so that way whenever people walk up to it, they see the, you know, the better looking part of the weld instead of the bottom that doesn't look as good. But not only that, but like I said, all your ripples are going, you know, same way this way, same way this way. So it just looks nicer. So it depends on how, we'll have two 90s like this, and then we'll have two 90s coming out and over this way. So I'll put my starts right here on the side on them other two 90s. That way when they're laying on the ground, it'll look just like this. This right here is what they call structural pipe, or at least that's the term that we use whenever I worked at Stillwater Steel. It's got this real ugly seam in it. It's not structural versus tested pipe. It's still expensive, but it's way less expensive than tested pipe like we use on pipeline work. In other words, the standards are lower with whenever they make structural pipe versus whenever they make tested pipe. So that's why it's got this ugly seam in here. But I'm gonna put this seam on bottom, that way you don't see that ugly seam whenever this bumper rail, that's what we're building, by the way, is a bumper rail. But it's gonna be right on the ground. It's not gonna be off the ground a little bit. It's gonna be sitting essentially right on top of the gravel, just to use as like a bump whenever they bump back the co-op here in Perkins, Oklahoma. Is who we're working for. Whenever they back like fertilizer trailers and stuff in there, they don't want them rolling off in the ditch, so we're putting this 8-inch bumper rail around the perimeter of this new gravel lot that we're building. Another name is button as far as terms. Put my button on top. So ripples the same way, ripples the same way. The way this one sits, buttons on top, ripples, ripples. So we know that this one's gonna go into the ground. We'll add a pup there, and this one will be sitting on top of the ground. And then another full joint will be welded right here. The pipe's going something like this. 90, 90, and then 90 down. So this joint here will be 90 down, just like so. And this here, that joint there will be right here essentially. Let's see, right turn, no, it'll be right here. Fitting on right here. And then we'll do another one sideways to go right here with our button on top. And then we'll do one more like this with our button on top with the 90 looking down. 4 90s total. This here is a little old trick I learned from a guy on a pipe fabrication job back in the day, which is, you know, we're fabbing over here, but anytime I need to reel my leads in, I just roll them up on the ground and I keep them as less tangled up as possible. So I got a little extra if I need to stretch out. But I like that little technique, rolling it up on the ground and just keeping them as less tangled as possible. But we got our 490s welded on. Old operators set them in place over there. We'll take a look at those here in a minute. Come back tomorrow, we'll do a little mainlining. Come on, mainlining as in just welding all these joints together to get all the way around this. I guess we'll call it a parking lot. There's the other 90 we welded on. There's the other one, and there's the last one. Thanks for coming along with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to check out our trade school website and take advantage of our sale. Sale, like I said, starts today if you're watching this when this video is first published, April 19th, and it ends on May 1st. To take advantage of the sale, you will have to use the discount code SPRING24, all caps, no spaces. Also, stay tuned next Friday, or tune back in next Friday, I should say. We will be welding out this 8-inch pipe to go all the way around this gravel parking lot. We'll be beveling all this pipe, because like I said, I've beveled all this pipe and welding it back together. So that's gonna be fun. Lots to learn there also. And we've also got some down legs to put. We've already got 2 down legs, but we're gonna be putting, I believe, 5 more. So I'm gonna have to saddle 5 pieces of 8-inch pipe in next week's video, and then weld them onto the bottom also. And then at some point, I don't know if it'll be in next week's video or not, but at some point, the operator that I was working for in this video, or working with, he will come through here and he will push this pipe down in the ground, all the way to the ground, and then they will have a bumper rail all painted up nice and neat, just like the last thing we did for the co-op, but a little bit different, 8-inch versus 6-inch. If you haven't seen that video, link will be in the description, or we will put it in the top, one of the top corners of this video, where you can go check out the 6-inch bumper rail that we built for the co-op also, but it wasn't totally on the ground. It was a couple feet off the ground. So a little bit different situation, went about it a little bit different versus what we're doing here. But check out that video or any other video here on the channel. Like I said, thanks for being here. Hope you learned something. Have an awesome weekend. And remember, learn something every day.